In 1968, Sergio Leone did a movie called Once Upon a Time in the West, an attempt at following up his highly successful and iconic movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. In that day, it may have been well received back in those days in 1968, but today it does not quite hold up against other Western movies such as Appleton's Drifter, Last Man Standing, and of course it also falls short against The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's what we will delve in today. First, let me talk about why it was popular back in the day, which has much to do with that it was a chance for people to see Henry Fonda and Charles Bronson in the cinema, which were iconic actors at that time. I also do believe people in the older days appreciated the slower pacing to give more time for the movie to build up the story. Also, they might not have been too concerned about a lack of gunslinging action as long as the story was interesting and it perhaps was a Western story that people could relate to. That's at least my analysis on why this movie was popular back in the day. Now today, however, I feel it does not match the Westerners that are created today, and the first real issue is the slow pacing, where it takes quite some time to understand what it's all about. A widow in which was going to meet her family only to hear about him being killed by the bandits the day before as she walked out from a train waiting for her family which she had not seen in years. And also this assassin comes in that feels he has to finish the job. Of course that takes a while before they are on direct contact, and that's something that could have happened earlier. In a way, as a second reason why it does not hold up today, I believe there's simply a lack of intensity. I do understand that this might not be a pure gunslinger movie, but as opposed to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which tries on many of the same things, with some slight build-up of tension, which is much better in that second mentioned movie, by the way, and also compared to movies such as Appleton's Drifter and Last Man Standing, which are more about the gunslinging action. The movie does lack the entertaining moments in the same way as those mentioned movies, but the characters and the story itself are also much better done. In his Sergio Leone's other big movie, the one from 1966, I've already mentioned a couple of times now, with another point also being that this movie really lacks the most reliable actor that Sergio Leone has used in so many of his other Western movies. Of course, we are talking about Clint Eastwood. And although Charles Bronson does okay in the main role, he lacks the ruthless ability of Clint himself, which in his case is handed over to Jason Robards and Jane Fonda. But neither of them matches the ability of this Western movie legend to be that ruthless in a role. You also seen better lead roles from Charles Bronson himself in Borderline and Red Son, and I don't really understand why this is considered to be one of his best roles, because it is miles of his best performances. Perhaps it does a role that is different from the masculine tough guy he usually is, but nonetheless, it is not a starred performance. The movie itself is not only slow, it is a rather dragged affair where you feel they could have easily ended this in 2 hours. The extra almost 50 minutes are more like filler content, where it also takes too long time before the final duel between Frank and Harmonica, because that moment is a fresh breath in a rather dull movie, where you simply have too few exciting moments. Then again, lastly, you do have some weak attempts at building up the tension, but it is never enough, and although I must admit it is interesting to see this widow that suddenly has a sexual encounter with the killer of her family, and how he tried to build up this strange kind of tension with his character playing harmonica, it is never enough to entertain you in the right way. And that's why for me, this one lands at a firm 5 out of 10, and for me, it never holds up today.